Welcome to Life on Pause, a podcast defining the experience of being a young adult with cancer. Each episode, we explore issues impacting young adults in and after treatment. Like what you hear? Have something to add? Come join us for our next recording. Having, now being in remission, there is a sort of body image with being in remission. Not even just related to food, just related to cancer in general.
I was heavier before I had, let's say, leukemia. And during that transplant, I lost a lot of weight. It's just part of the, it's funny because I was like a normal weight and then I gained weight during breast cancer. And that's a common thing because of all the steroids and everything. And my doctor said, yeah, you think cancer patients are skinny and sickly, not breast cancer. She goes, that's the leukemics. So when I got leukemia, I was like, am I gonna get skinny now? And you lose a lot of weight. So I feel like I've tried hard to maintain that loss since then and not go back to the point where my husband's like, you have an unhealthy relationship with the scale and you want to be in between, these two numbers. And I've been happy that I lost that weight, and I feel like it would be healthy for me to maintain that loss. So I do feel like there is maybe a little bit more of a body image issue after I had that stem cell transplant and that weight loss.
I was 17. That's your peak time for I think body image issues, because you're in high school and you're developing and stuff. When I was diagnosed, I was stage 3A, so I had lost close to 50 pounds by the time I had finally realized that I was diagnosed. And so I was probably the skinniest I've ever been. And then I'm going through all my steroids and stuff, I put a lot of weight on. And then you said, the stem cell transplant I had a year later. So then I lost a bunch of weight again. And through all this, I was an athlete, I used to power lift. So it was really hard for me, seeing the image, because I didn't know I was sick. I just thought oh, I was finally losing weight and gaining muscle. And then getting sick and losing all that muscle, it definitely messed with my internal body image of what I thought I looked like. And then you have people telling you oh, no, you're putting weight on, you look better. But struggling inside, I feel a lot of people don't talk about how you struggle with your weight as you're going through this, because you're so hungry with eating all these steroids. Then seeing your body change and you really can't do anything about it is definitely something I think I struggle with, and I think a lot of people don't talk about.
Yeah, I definitely had that problem. But before treatment, I was definitely the skinny kid. I was always underweight. I remember as a kid, I remember going to the doctor and I was always really low weight and really underdeveloped. And as soon as I went through treatment, it's that was the first time that I ever was wow, I'm actually not skinny anymore. And still to this day, I guess I still kind of want to retain that image of being skinny, even though I shouldn't really want to, but it's just I was always skinny, and it's just now all of a sudden I'm not. And during treatment, I definitely felt that a lot. I'm just trying to want to go back to who I was, I guess.
Yeah, I've definitely always been on the smaller side. And then if you look back at pictures right when I was diagnosed, I'm very skinny, very pale. And it's you could tell we didn't know, but you could tell something was wrong. Looking back now, even now, it's hard. All my doctors are just oh, you should try to put on a little bit of weight. And it's well, how do I do that? I'm not doing anything to be the way I am now. And when I was diagnosed and you're trying to go back to school, and it's that weird age with puberty, plus you lost a lot of weight, then you get a puffy face from the steroids. And then I had just got braces on. So it's a whole weird age growing up there. And it's hard going through different things, and just people's comments of just oh, well, eat a cheeseburger, eat some ice cream, eat. And it's just okay, even if I do those things, I don't know, it's just not that it really does too much. And so just having doctors kind of feeling questioning you about oh, eating disorders or this or that, when it's just okay, this is just how I naturally am. And I don't know what to do to not make it like that. it's just like hard to just like be questioned or to just feel or like go shopping and feel like, oh, like I can't, it's hard to find stuff that fits right. Or like, and then going after treatment, like having like a lot of scars and like stretch marks and things from like the up and down weight. Like for like the longest time, I didn't want to wear like certain shirts that like showed like my port scar or like certain swimsuits that showed like stretch marks like on my legs and stuff. Like now I feel a lot better about it. It's like it's been a long time, but it's hard going through that and like growing up and being that age and dealing with like normal teenage stuff, but then also like the added stuff of and then having it like come into your like adult age.
No, I'm glad you mentioned like the scars because like I feel like that's a lot of stuff like people don't talk about. It's like having your scars and then like people always make comments about them. Like whether they realize it or not. Like I have a scar on my neck from my first biopsy and people love to make comments about it being a hickey all the time in public and like really loud. And like I have a couple on my chest from like my catheters and like it's hot, I wear like a tank top, like people always stare at them or like they'll make comments and it's just like it's hard because like you never really had them before and then like learning how to like deal with them is definitely something like that's like people don't really realize. It's like especially if you like have a lot of them and like they're usually like if you have them they're usually pretty big. Like I know I have a big ones on my chest and on my neck, so it's definitely like something like mine are all pretty visible too. So
Yeah, no, I get that. Like I have mine on my neck that's like, you know, that was my first biopsy site. Like it's there. And kind of like relating like scars to just like this whole thing. I feel like because we were all like young adults and, you know, like between the ages of, you know, 12 and 39 when this all happened, like for me, I think it's a control thing. Like you don't have control when you're going through it. You don't like have this sense of like you don't have control over whether you're going to like what the chemo is going to do or how you're going to feel. So like those moments when you feel good or like you're void raging, like yes, like I will eat that. Or, you know, even going into remission, like I was going into my senior year of high school and then going to college, and like it was it really hit me that I was like, I wasn't even a year out yet, and I was like, do I have control back? I feel like the unhealthy part about my relationship with food is like the control aspect. Like I'm like, okay, well, I can control that I'm going to eat this or going to eat that. And like one thing that I, you know, and I will be honest and say I feel like I struggle to this day is like I will like binge because I have control over it. And then I'll feel completely guilty about it and like be unhealthy, and I shouldn't do that. And it's like I just have such a unhealthy aspect of like what can I control. And then I think too in today's day and age, like we have the whole empower to anyone who is like chosen to do it and it works for them, but now we have the whole like Ozempic, like GLP-1, and I feel like there's not a lot that's like out there yet to be like, hey, this is what this is going to happen in like 5 years. But for me as like a survivor, it's hard to be like, I didn't necessarily like ask to go through this, but it's not as easy for me to just like get off weight from things I didn't ask for, like side effects from chemo. And then there's people who can just like give themselves a shot. And I'd be lying if I said there wasn't this part of me that felt like, I don't want to say anger, but I'm just like, it's not that easy for everyone.
Yeah.
You know?
I get that.
Thanks for listening to Life on Pause. Ideas or suggestions for future episodes? Feel free to share them with us. Make sure you like, subscribe, or follow us on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.